Hello and welcome to the Lord of the Rings, the living card game. I'm the White Tower Watchman. Guys, I've got a few different videos I want to make over the next few days. Some rules stuff I want to discuss, just some more general topics. This is going to be the first one because it's simple and I think the word needs to get out there. Helm of the Stormcaller in the new Dreamchaser campaign expansion has an error on it, a pretty big error, a misprint. On the left here, we have the original 2015 release, and then on the right, we have the new card that has been reprinted and repackaged in the new format. So, back in the day, we would get hero player cards and scenario cards in the form of one deluxe box and 6 small packs. This thing here came out in the thing in the depths, and then that was what the pack was called. And then over here, we have the version that's in the new repackaged version. So what they did was they would take, the deluxe box and the 6 packs, they would separate them into player cards and encounter cards, and they would just simply put 2 big boxes out, right? So the hero box is all your player cards, the campaign box has all your scenario cards, plus new campaign cards that have just kind of been inserted to give some continuity, some new flavor, and just something fresh to the game. But they did say that they would not be changing the mechanics of any old cards, which leads me to believe, among many other reasons, that this is a misprint. So if I was you, I'm recommending to everyone, play with the old version. It's highly suspected that is still intended to be the way the card is supposed to work. There's a reason this probably got misprinted this exact way, and I'm about to go over it with you. So this one here is unique location. It's got 2 threat, 1 quest point. It's immune to player card effects. It's a ship and a deck traded location there. It says Helm of the Stormcaller gets +1 quest point for each resource token on a raider enemy in play. So you count up all the resource tokens and all the raider enemies in play, and you add to this number, the quest points, not the threat, the quest points. All right. And the force effect's the same on both of these, so that's not where the error is. It's in this sentence right here. So in the new version of the card, it has X as the threat, 1 is the quest point. Everything else is identical except this line here. It says X is 2 more than the number of resources on all raider enemies in play. So here's what I think happened, and there's definitely some evidence to support this. They wanted to, they're not mechanically changing anything on these new repackages, but they did do some different reformatting. Like, you'll see some pronouns that will be, instead of he, they'll say you, or they, or something like that. And there'll be some minor things here and there. Gandalf's delay. That all of those really kind of fall under the category of getting them to work as they originally were intended, or just to kind of update the clarity of the card. This one here I think is actually a mistake. So what I think happened here was when they were rewriting this, they said, oh, let's just, instead of saying it gets +1 quest point for each resource token on a raider enemy in play, let's just say X is equal to the number of all resources on all raider enemies in play plus the number of points that is on the actual card, right? But then somebody got confused, made a little brain fart, whatever, just simple, innocent error, and thought this was quest points. So that's why they went X is 2 more than the number of all resources on the raiders. So if you see here, it's 2. Okay, what's actually supposed to be increasing is this number right here. It's 1 plus, I would treat this exactly as this card says, that it's 1 plus the number of resources on raider enemies in play. That's what I think happened. Now, 2 reasons. One is they've already stated they are not mechanically changing any old cards. And also, I don't know exactly the staffing at FFG and like who's doing the repackaged editions, but I know that the people that were originally on this game have less to do with those. So I think this was just a simple error. Somebody thought this was quest points. Now, I had asked the designer, the lead designer of this game, Caleb Grace, a different question about something else entirely, and he emailed me back with an answer to that question. Plus, he said, I'll show you the email here. He basically said that he noticed another question about this card that we were talking about, and he's already on the case to the to forward that question to the people who are in charge of the repackage. Okay, but that alone, the fact that it's different people in charge of the repackage, leads me to believe that this is exactly what I suspect it is, and most people suspect it is, and this is just simply an error. It's unfortunate because it makes the card play extremely differently, and what it's gonna do. See, we're in we're in this like new era of this game where the FAQ hasn't been updated since 2017. Not everything is crystal clear. This is a game that kind of, if you want all the answers, it kind of exists within the community, right? The discourse between community and designer questions and things like that. So a lot of new players might be confused, and if you're not aware of the old cards, there's no way you would ever catch this to no fault of their own, the new players. So it's just one of those things. An veteran player just happened to catch this and brought it to everyone's attention. So we're in this new era where not all the information is completely available easily. And also, FFG, don't be surprised if they don't say anything about this right away, because this repackage is basically just hit the shelves. They don't, from a business decision, this happened with Wolverine in Marvel as well. They can't just come out right away and say, oh yeah, it'll be corrected in the new editions, the new printings that follow up after this, because then everybody's just going to wait to buy it, right? And they want the sales numbers. So from a business point, like, I understand why they might not say something right away. This isn't as big of a deal as the Wolverine mistake in Marvel, but don't be surprised if you don't hear anything. And then just because you don't hear anything doesn't mean this card is correct. Okay? I think it took until like the third printing of the starter decks to get all those errors cleared up. And then even now, like I talked about in my last video, the replacement cards they put up in the PDF, they still have a mistake on that. So if this doesn't get worked out for a while, this is why I suspect it won't. So this is why I have to highly recommend play with the old version. I'm almost positive that's the way the card is supposed to work. Sorry, I got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but this is the exact words that I was sent in my email. So these first two lines are about a different question. Don't worry about that right now. Make a whole nother video about that. But this second part here, I forwarded your other question about Helm of the Stormcaller to the team that did the repack since I was involved. I'll let you know what I find out. Okay, so Caleb wasn't on the repack. That's a dead giveaway. To me, this was a mistake by somebody who was further away from the game or wasn't working on the game back in 2015. So I think they just thought that this was quest points, and they said, oh, well, it needs to be X, it needs to be 2 more than, because it's originally 2, so it needs to be 2 more than X, but it's actually this, so it should be 1 plus the number of resources on all raider enemies in play. So that's how I would play that. I would recommend to everybody keep playing it the original way. And the other reason, of course, because they've already said that they are not changing any mechanics on old cards. These are supposed to be 1-for-1 repackages. They're not changing any quests. This isn't a new edition. The only thing different is they're updating some of the erratas, and they're including campaign cards. So I highly recommend to play with the old way, even if we don't hear from them for a while. I still highly recommend. I will almost guarantee that that's the way the card is supposed to be played, and I'm willing to say this very strongly in risk of being wrong later. In fact, this is where it gets kind of weird. I would probably recommend, because I'm such a big fan of the original game, I would recommend playing this way even if they never answer it, never clarify, or even if they say that this is what it was supposed to be. I still would play it this way for a couple reasons. You ever like have a day at work where like you mess up, but maybe your boss doesn't know the answer either, and you go, oh no, I meant to do that, and then it like just, you know what I'm saying? So it like looks better. I'm not saying they're gonna do that, but even if they came out and said this is the way that how they meant it to be, I would still play it this way because they've already promised us they're not going to do any mechanical changes, and it's just clearly an error. I'm so sure this is an error that even if they come out later and say it isn't, I just think it's somebody lying to not look like they messed up a big goof. I don't think that'll happen. Hopefully, oh my goodness, that would be bad. But yeah. So play it the old way, if you were to ask my opinion. Anyway, that's the only error noticed so far in the new Dreamchaser repackages. So hopefully that'll be the only error. There are some good things, like they've updated like Dairwine or whatever his name is, the guy who can cancel shadow effects. They've made that a response instead of an action, so it actually works now. There's some new updated wordings and stuff. So anything that's like an updated wording or an errata that's been reprinted with the correct card, that's awesome. This one probably just a mistake. Anyway, have a good one. We'll see you next time.